Good morning, YouTube viewers and subscribers. So the next engine servicing project I have is what you see right in front of you here. This is a Saito FA-300TL engine sent to me by the very same person that sent me the FF320 Pegasus, Mike. So Mike had sent me two of these engines and he really wants me to get one of them operational for him. So what I've done so far is I was just kind of doing my initial inspection, and I see it looks like the mounting bracket here is bent a little bit, so that's going to have to be straightened. Overall, this engine looks like it's in really good condition. It's got a little bit of paint wear here, but I can touch that up with some high temp grill paint. It's got really good compression, and it feels like it could be a runner right now, but Mike really wants me to go through this, clean it all up, replace all the bearings and that type of thing. So that's what I'm going to do. I did just go out and heat this thing up briefly to maybe hopefully free up some of the fasteners. So I'm just trying to think of where I want to start disassembling this engine. Maybe let's start with these intakes. It's funny because on both of the engines I've got, and maybe even my 270, let me check that real quick. Okay, not on my 270, but I have, each of these engines has a screw like this that has a dimple and a painted yellow head, and I'm not really sure what that means other than I need to keep the orientation correct, but I don't understand what that means. So in theory now this rear cover should come off. I might go heat it up again though. Maybe not. I just really want this gasket to survive if possible. I have a feeling this is a bearing, and the resistance I'm feeling here is that bearing with residue really holding that on. Now I can feel this gasket rotating as I turn this, but I am going to have to go put some pretty good heat on this because I don't think that's going to want to just come off in a friendly manner. It doesn't feel like it does anyway. So let me go heat that. Okay, I guess that gasket's going to be one of the last things, or at least not something I'm taking off right at this very moment. So let's go straight to this prop drive and see if I have any more luck getting this thing off. I haven't heated it yet. I'm getting some pretty good tension on it, so I'll probably have to tighten it up and go heat it. Oil here help facilitate this debonding process there. I think I've got enough tension on, I can go heat this thing up. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I don't need to heat it up. Maybe it'll just come off just like that. And it did. A little dirty, but all that will be cleaned up. Alright, so that's off. This thing rotates freely. Just still doesn't want to come free yet, so I'm just going to have to proceed with going ahead and taking the heads apart. These are being a major bitch, so I decided to go ahead and just take the head off first, and I'll have to try and deal with this at a later time because those pins frickin' super ass torqued for some stupid reason, and that's not going to be fun. That's interesting. This engine has all the telltale signs of having been recently rebuilt, because these piston pins are just sliding right out and they're clean. They're clean as hell. Either that or this is just a super low time engine. However, no, it's been rebuilt. Look at that. Somebody put a scribe mark on the top of this piston for some reason. So this is not a virgin engine. Someone's been in here before, but they obviously didn't do a very good job of cleaning it up, because if they had cleaned this up, that would have been covered up completely with carbon. So that just goes to show you that people may rebuild or say they rebuild engines, but unless they're actually cleaning all the parts real well, I don't really know that I call that rebuilding the engine. Alright, let's see if we can get a connecting rod off here. This is that side here, so just like that. This came off just like this. Just check the orientation marks. Okay, it's got dots. Dots on this side for the orientation of these. Okay, so this was the rod from this side, so it goes over here. Has an F on it that means forward, front. So that's done. Now all we got to do is find some way to get this rear cover off and take these timing covers off, and then we'll be ready to pull that crank out. I figured I better turn the camera back on for this. So I took the timing gears off, and this I just fell out. This front bearing looks brand new, so I have a feeling this engine has already been recently rebuilt. So at least this should make it a little bit easier for me to get the rear cover off of here now, because I can not worry about damaging this gasket. So I think what I'm going to do is, I don't know what I'm going to do right now. But I mean, there's no rust at all on this crankshaft. This thing looks great. It's just a matter of freeing this end up here from this rear bearing. But if you look inside here, that bearing looks new. Feels new. This bearing feels new. Okay, so I turned the camera off and I did a lot of things. I got the whole engine apart. I just replaced the bearings in this crankcase. They're smooth as silk. The ones that were in there weren't bad. Here's another one, the rear cover bearing. Everything is squeaky clean. These are the bearings that came out of the engine. Now that one's still hot, rather hot. They weren't bad. I mean, they had just recently been replaced, but I went ahead and replaced them anyway, just because in the process of cleaning and stuff they can get kind of nasty. So this thing's got, I'm going to move those hot bearings. This thing's got all new bearings. The only thing left for me to do really is finish cleaning some parts on one side and clean the valves up and reassemble. This engine doesn't need any other parts. It does need some rocker cover gaskets, which I don't know if I've got on hand. I may have to order those. But other than that, this engine is pretty much ready to be put back together.